When I was about to start Sean Aleph, to be honest, I was extremely nervous. I was coming off 2 years in high school where I wasn't there so often. I didn't really enjoy learning that much, but rather I did it because I felt more as a thing I was supposed to do and because I was being graded. I also had no idea how I was going to be able to spend 15 hours straight a day learning. The idea of me being able to learn 3 Siddharim a day and more scared me because I was barely able to do one the last few years. I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to do it. I really knew that the main underlying factor behind all my worries was my migraines. For those who don't know, I have had chronic migraines since April 23rd, 2012, a little more than 3 years. I constantly have a migraine, but thankfully they are much better than they used to be when I was in high school. In junior and senior year, I missed about half the days of school and was constantly bothered by them. The best I could do to try and keep a normal, lively schedule was to accept that my head was going to hurt and try and distract myself with things I enjoyed doing, and if I did that, eventually in the middle, I would forget about my head for a little. On my way to Israel, I decided that I wasn't going to really talk about my migraines much. If people asked or saw me taking my medicine, then I would tell them, and great, I shared a deeper connection with them. But with the majority of people who didn't know that I had migraines, I felt both pride in the fact that I was able to handle and control myself and the headaches to the extent that they never realized and therefore treated me like everyone else. I remember one keynote towards the beginning of Shana Aleph from Rav Tergen talking about the last week of Zman, where he said something that will stick with me forever. He was talking about making the most of every day, every Seder, every minute, and that there are no excuses. As he said this, he was looking around the room and paused for a second and then kept going. When that happened, the thought in my head was that when he said no excuses, he obviously wasn't referring to me. My situation is much different than everyone else's. I already have a headache, and it hurts my head when I learn more, so he couldn't possibly have been referring to me when he said I have to learn every day. I figured I had a perfectly reasonable excuse if I needed to take off a few days when my head was bothering me. This was my outlook throughout Shana Aleph. I would keep learning until my head would start hurting more, and then say to myself, I have to take a break. As the year went along, I started learning longer and taking less breaks, but I still definitely took a lot of days off. I viewed learning as something that I did that I knew was going to hurt me, and stopping learning was what was going to help. Thankfully, once Shana hit, everything started to change. I started to acquire a new enjoyment and respect for learning. One main thing that helped was trying to bring my daily life into my learning. Whenever something about refuah or headaches came up in Gemara I was learning, I got all excited and paid extra close attention, and tried to see if I could then apply it to my life. Not every time was I necessarily able to apply it to my life. For example, the Gemara in Gittin Daf Samachas Mesibat says that to heal a migraine, you should get a wild rooster, get a very sharp coin, shecht it over your head, let the blood drip on the part of your head that hurts, and then hang it on your doorpost so that when you pass by, it hits you, and then you'll feel better. I've tried a lot of things for my headaches, but I haven't tried that one, so you never know. But still, nevertheless, those things made learning more significant. I started to realize that this was the key. I need to make whatever I learned more meaningful and to change my attitude. I knew if I could be more positive about this, it would make a massive impact on my life and my learning. Most people are familiar with the phrase Gamzu Latova, but aren't so familiar with the phrase used in the Gemara in Brachos, Kol David Rachmana Latovavid. Someone, I can't remember who, told me that the difference between the two phrases is that Gamzu Latova implies that you're saying what happened is also for the best, but Kol David Rachmana Latovavid implies everything that Hashem does is for the best. The Gemara in Brachos Daf Samach Amabet quotes Rabbi Akiva quoting the phrase, and then quotes a story about Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was once traveling, and when he finally reached the city, he tried to find a place to stay, but no one offered him a place to stay. So he says, Kol David Rachmana Latovavid, and he goes and sleeps in the field. All that he had with him was a rooster to wake him up in the morning, a donkey to travel with, and a lamp for light. Later that day, a wind came, blew out the lamp, a cat came, ate the rooster, and a lion came and ate the donkey. After losing everything he had with him, what does Rabbi Akiva do? He says, Kol David Latavavin, Kol Rachmana Latavavin, and then goes to sleep. That night, as it turns out, an army came and conquered the city and killed everyone in the city. So Rabbi Akiva goes, Kol David Rachmana Latavavin. If I would have been in that city, that would have killed me. If I was still have my light, they would have found me and killed me. If that cow went to eat that rooster, it would have crowed in the morning, they would have found me. And if that lion went to kill my donkey, it would have brayed, and then they would have heard and they would have found me. So see how actually everything Hashem does is really for the best. When I heard this story, I realized I had to internalize this message and really change how I viewed my own situation. What I had been thinking up until then, that me having my headaches was a legitimate reason to not be learning every day, and Mischavrusas was totally wrong. It is not an excuse, it is a blessing. Having the migraines forced me to try harder and get everything I had, yet hiding my appreciation of the importance of time and the gift of being able to spend a full day learning. Every day I woke up and had the ability to even get up and go to the base is a blessing, not even to mention learning. If I had gotten these headaches a year and a half earlier, then when I did, I most likely would not be here making a Siyum today. Once I had this mindset, I didn't stop. I treasured every day, every Seder, every minute I had, because I now appreciated the message I heard in the beginning of Shana Aleph. For me, there are no excuses. I now know that I may have gone through a lot to get where I am at this point in life. And for a while, I had no idea why all this had happened to me. But now I think I might have the answer. If I didn't have my migraines, I wouldn't be as positive a person as I am now. I wouldn't have as strong a will as I do now. And I believe I can say with the utmost certainty, I wouldn't have gained anywhere near as much from my yeshiva experience. As I finish yeshiva and prepare to move on to the next stage in life, the most important message I've learned is that we may not be in control of the situation we are placed in, but we are in full control of how we react, deal, and hopefully go through it. So now I'm going to just finish up with Maseches Brachos, which is...
I'd like to call all those who have made a Siyum in the past few days who registered with Dovie, and anyone else who wants to come up to stand behind for the Siyum, please come. Get you safer from me. Come, but stand behind Dovie as he finishes.
So I just want to finishing with Maseches Brachos, which coincidentally is the first Gemara I started learning in 5th grade. So it's kind of cool that I'm finishing up with that one. Okay, so the Gemara in Brachos ends off with the famous Banayich Gemara. This Gemara also ends off Brachos, Nazir, Yevamos, and Krisos. If you take the first letters of all those Masechta, it spells out Banayich. Okay, here we go. Amar Rebbe Lazar, Amar Rebbe Chanina. Talmidei Chachamim marim Shalom ba'olam. Shnamar v'chol Banayich l'modei Adonai. V'rav Shalom Banayich, al tikir Banayich, ela Bonayich. Shalom Rav Lovei Torasecha ve'ein lamo mishchal. Yishalom b'cheilecha, shalva b'rmanasecha. Laman achai v'real davrana, shalom bach. Laman beis, Adonai Eloheinu avaksha tov lach. Adonai oz hamayitain, Adonai yivarech hasamo v'shalom. Hadron alach haroa v'sliko l'maseches brachos. Hadron alach talmud bavi v'hadron alach. Daitan alach talmud bavi v'daitan alach. Lo nishtei minach talmud bavi v'lo tishnei minach. Lo b'lam nadan v'lo b'am adate. Hadron alach talmud bavi v'hadron alach. Daitan alach talmud bavi v'danan alach. Lo nishtei minach talmud bavi v'lo tishnei minan. Lo b'am nadan v'lo b'am adate. Hadron alach talmud bavi v'danan alach. Daitan alach talmud bavi v'daitan alach. Lo nishtei minach talmud bavi v'lo tishnei minan. Lo b'am nadan v'lo b'am adate. Yirat Salam Nacha Adonai Eloheinu Velohei Avosenu Shetehei Torascha Umenasenu Ba'olam Hazeh V'tehei Iman Olam Haba Chanini Bar Papa, Rami Bar Papa, Nachman Bar Papa, Achai Bar Papa, Abba Mari Bar Papa, Rafam Bar Papa, Rachish Bar Papa, Sorcha Bar Papa, Ada Bar Papa, Dore Bar Papa. Harev Na Adonai Eloheinu Es Divrei Torasecha Befinu Vefios Amcha Beis Yisrael V'niyah Kulanu Anachnu V'tzetzainu V'tzetzei Amcha Beis Yisrael Kulanu Yodei Shemecha V'lamdei Torasecha. Moavai tachmakini mitzosecha ki le'olam hili yehi libi tamim b'chulkecha laman lo'evosh l'olam lo eshkach b'kudecha ki vam chiyisani Baruch atah Adonai lamdeni chulkecha amen 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 salavaed Modim anachnu lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'elei avosenu shesamti chalkeinu miyosh ve'beis hamedrash v'lo samti chalkeinu miyosh ve'kronos shanu mashkimi v'hem mashkimini anu mashkimini l'ver Torah v'hem mashkimini l'var v'telim anu amelim v'hem amelim anu amelim v'kal mischar v'hem amelim v'enim kal mischar Anu ratzim v'hem ratzim, anu ratzim l'chaim l'mabah, v'hem ratzim l'ver shachas. Shnamar v'ata Elohim teredein l'ver shachas, anshe dami v'mirma, lo yachatzu yimehem v'aniyah tachbach. Yirat salom l'fanecha, Adonai Eloheinu kishem, v'shazatani l'sayim talmud bavli, kain tazrini l'haskel mesechel l'svarim acherim, l'sayim l'model ameim l'shmar l'sos, l'kaim es kol divrei talmud torasecha v'yava. V'zuchos kol atanai v'amorim, v'tamei chachamim tamol li, l'zari l'shalot tamush haTorah mipi, u'mipi zari, zara, zari adolam. This kind be to Asacha, Tanacha, Osach, Bishavacha, Uchmor, Elacha, Takitis Hosa, Ki Tishkacha. Ki be Yerbu Yamacha, Yosifi Lacha, Shanos Chaim, Arachami, Bimina, Usmala, Osher Kavod, Adonai Oz Hamayitain, Adonai Yerach, Samo Hashal.
knows the way?
Vizkara Shmi Rabba, Amadi who Asili is Khadalo, Khaya Mesa, Lasa Kala Khayoma, Lubne Karta de Vishaline, Lashkaka, Hichala Bagave, Lamakar Pokhana, Norkoria Mera, Lasaba Pokhana, Dishmail Asra, the Amli Kudishabri, Hubachmalave Kare, Khaykhona Vimehona, Khayno, Basis Rabba, Glavsman Krivin Raf Mishabach, Misbabris, Ravis, Nasavis, Aravis, Alavis, Alash, make Dushabri, Layla, make Clever Khasar, Shirasa, Tushpachas, and Nacham, Sadam Ramah, Vimromain, I is Robert, Van Altimidon, Valcol, to me, David, Valcol, Mandaskin, Varisa, Divasar, Hadam, Diva, Holasar, Vasar, Yehela, Hon, Lachon, Shlava, Rabba, King of Chis of Rachim, Lachai, Reche, Mazan, Reche, who Parganamin, Kadam, Apon, Vishmai, Ravim, Romain, Yesh, Lava, Rabim, Shemai, Vachaim, Tobi, Malina, Valkais, Ravim, Romain.
While everybody's standing here, and before we sing, I want to first give on behalf of everyone this to Rav Dovie. The other Rav Dovie. I wanted to tell you, and all of you, how proud we are of each one in their learning, and each one who finished what they finished, not just those who finished, but for sure those who finished. And finishing is only significant because of the fact that it spurs us on to do more, to go back over. And Dovie, I want to speak on behalf of everyone by saying, myself and everyone, you're an inspiration for all of us, and seeing you makes us all realize how much more we have to take advantage of everything we have, and we're very excited about our relationship with you and how much you're going to be doing in Yirut Hashem in the coming years. Yeshar Koach. Thank you on behalf of everyone. 1 second. I want to start a new custom, and we have Noah here. Let's start with this. Go. Before you dance, we should reflect. We'll dance too. It's mutter. Let's reflect ourselves. Go.
Hashas!